All right, guys, so we're on to our third part. We're right here with number 11. We want to solve this literal equation. We want to solve it for y. So we have 2x plus 3y over 3. And the first thing I want to do, before I can start moving any of these pieces up here around, I've got to get them out from being in this fraction. So I grab my brackets, and I want to multiply by whatever this denominator was, which is a 3. So multiply by 3, multiply by 3. I get 3m on the left. And these cancel. So whatever I had up top just drops down, and it's a 2x plus 3y. Again, I'm trying to get y by itself. That was my goal. So I've got to subtract 2x from both sides. Next, just take that whole piece and move it over. Those are going to cancel. I'm going to have a 3y by itself. And before I start writing this, I'm going to go back and check my answers. Look, they've got m written first. Oh, and then they've got x written first there. So I'm not really sure which one they want written first. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and just write the m first because that's the way it started. You can write it either way. You've just got to be able to manipulate this at the end. And now I've got 3m minus 2x. Again, different variables means these are not like terms. Our final piece, we've got to divide by 3 and divide by 3. Those are going to cancel. Okay? This 3 goes to both pieces. It divides both of them by 3. Well, 3 over 3 is just a 1, so we have an m. You can have a 1m if you want, but it's just an m. Okay? On the x term, these 2 and 3 don't go into each other, so it ends up just being a 2/3 x, and that all equals y. Now, again, I don't know if it wants my x part written first or my m written first, so I've got to be able to swap them. Okay, this also means it's negative 2/3 x plus m equals y. These are the same answers, okay? These are the exact same. I just don't know which one my answer is going to be, so I flip on back. Okay, it was the m minus 2/3. It was this first one right here. Didn't have to worry about that second one, okay? It was that indeed. Number 12, we've got a equals 1/2 base height. This is an area formula for a triangle. So, again, that's got this really weird little parenthesis sort of thing to it. That's all that is a horizontal fraction bar of 1/2. And then it's got these parentheses that say BH. But guys, this just means multiplication, and these just mean multiplication. That doesn't distribute to both. Either way, we've got to get rid of that 1/2 first. So I grab my brackets, and I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, or in this case, just whatever that denominator was. So a 2, which would be a 2 over 1. That's going to cancel there and there. Whatever happens on the left, we just keep up with it, okay? So we have 2a equals bh. And we want h by itself. Kind of forgot there for a second which one of these we wanted. So we want h by itself means we're going to divide everything by b. So what I end up with is 2a over b equals h. And that hopefully shows up as one of my answers. 2a over b equals h. Okay? 13 is a bit of a doozy. We want r by itself. Okay? So we go back over. I'm going to need some scratch work area. I've got the volume equals 1/3 pi r squared. And then it has this times h. But guys, this is all multiplication. Okay? So really that h is just tacked on there. They just don't want you to get confused with that little squared symbol. All of this is multiplied together. Well, most of the time we undo multiplication by division, but not with these fractions. With these fractions, we have to do something a little bit different. Remember, we get our brackets out. That's how we get rid of fractions. And we multiply by reciprocals. Well, the reciprocal of 1/3, if we were to write the reciprocal, if we were to stand it on its head, it would be 3 over 1, which is just 3. So that's our reciprocal, just a regular old 3. Cancel and cancel. Whatever happens on the left-hand side, we just keep up with it. We have a 3v, and then what's left on the right is pi r squared h. Now I've got to get rid of this pi and this h. They're both multiplied in there. So we're going to divide by a pi. That'll get rid of this one. And by an h, that'll get rid of this one. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So it's pi h. Okay? Our right-hand side is almost finished. We've got r squared is left. And on the left-hand side, it's starting to get kind of ugly, but that's okay, guys. We just let it be ugly. Okay? Let it turn into whatever it turns into. We just track it, and then we make sure our answer's there whenever we get done. Finally, we've got r squared by itself, and this is the last step you need to take. You always need to leave it, get r squared by itself, and then take this very last step. And to remember it, I ask myself, just like all the other problems, what undoes this squared piece? Well, what undoes it is a square root. So we square root both sides. This square root and that squared term, notice I drew the lines through it, cancel out, okay? So all we have left on the right-hand side is r. What we have on the left-hand side is this big mess. But that's okay, as long as it shows up as one of our answers, okay? We look, and there it is. Square root of 3v over pi h. Number 14. A little bit easier. We've got P equals 2W plus 2L and solve for L. That is a perimeter formula for a rectangle. Okay? So perimeter equals 2 times W plus 2 times L, and we want L by itself. So I subtract 2W from both sides. I don't know how they're going to want this written in what order, but I'm going to go ahead and write it as P minus 2W, just so I don't have a negative sign hanging out front, equals 2L. These two pieces are multiplied together, so I undo them with division. Undo them with division. Those cancel, and guys, for all I know, they wrote the answer and left it just like this. So before we do any other math, let's check to see. No, I don't see that answer anywhere. Let's actually do this math then. This 2 goes to both pieces. So on the left-hand side, we're going to have a P over 2. Nothing I can do about that. And then here, this 2 and 2, they actually do cancel out. 2 over 2 is just a 1, so we end up with just a regular minus W. And now we're really hoping that shows up. The only other way this might show up is maybe it did a 1/2 P minus W. Maybe they did that as well. I don't really know. But just know that those are both viable options. But here we go. There it is, option C. P over 2 minus W, okay? And I just now noticed that is, I guess, 3 answer C's in a row. On to 15. Booster Club is selling hot dogs. This was all the way back in 3.2, very long time ago. Booster's selling hot dogs for $2 each and burgers for $5 each. They hope to earn exactly $500. Let H represent hot dogs and let B represent burgers, and we're just writing an equation for this. So if I sell every single hot dog for $2 and H represents hot dogs, that means 2 times H is the amount of hot dogs I sold. Also, it means 5 times B is the amount of burgers I sold. And I'm adding those together, and I want them to add together to equal exactly $500. Okay? And hopefully we don't have to do any crazy equation manipulation or anything like that. It just wants to know the total profit. And there it is right there. Notice what D did. D did the same thing correctly, except for they accidentally flipped the letter. So be careful on these. A lot of people see burgers, they think H is hamburgers. It's not. They have to tell you H is hot dogs, B is burgers. Okay? Okay. Number 16 does a very, very different thing. Okay, this gives us a starting value and it gives us a rate. That's the key change in 16 is it gives us a rate. So no longer are we just writing it from a system equation. We have to kind of imagine this problem. Well, we've got this backyard pool and it starts out up here at 300 gallons and it's got to go down because we are draining at a rate of 6. Well, anytime I see rate, I automatically am already thinking slope. Okay, slope is a rate of change. So if we have this initial value of M, and it's draining, I know we're going to somewhere in this problem have a negative 6x because that's what we do with slopes, okay? This point would be 0, 300 because that's how much we started with, and that is a y-intercept. So I have my y-intercept of 300. And this looks a whole lot like y equals mx plus b, except for we don't have our y. There it is, okay? This is our slope. Our slope is here. Our initial value is here, and y represents the amount of water in the pool. So just key words, rate. Rate was the key word there. Sorry. And there was our answer. Okay?